The Red Comet, when it was falling from the sky, was probably one of the most iconic scenes in all of Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire. In Season 7, we had the wall falling down, and I'm pretty sure there are tremors felt all around Westeros. In this video, I want to discuss the importance and significance between these two events and how it helps us predict going into Game of Thrones Season 8. Because you guys are so freaking awesome, I'm having a giveaway for another week for a $100 Amazon gift card. To make sure you're entered into this contest, go ahead and leave a comment down below, slap a like on this video, then turn on your notifications so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a video throughout this long night. Also, check out the pinned comment at the top of this video to enter all the different bonus ways at gleam.io. When the Red Comet first fell, we had lots of our characters doing lots of different things. Robb Stark was preparing for battle. Then you also have the importance and significance of Sansa and Arya separating on their journeys. Remember, Arya was present and watched Ned die just as much as Sansa. But this is the moment where they completely diverged paths. We would not see them be reunited until Season 7, shortly before the walls fall down. So the Red Comet for the Stark sisters was majorly important, not just the fact that their father Ned had died and this star could be bleeding for him, but also it signifies the moment that they completely separate. Then now in Season 7, you have the wall falling, and right before it falls, the two Stark sisters, well, they come together. They hash out all of their differences. They realize that they are sisters. They are family. The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. They realize that in those moments, right as the wall is falling, that the two of them need to work together if they want to continue to survive. They need to do what's better for all of House Stark. Now, it's funny that, these two moments have such opposite effects on the Stark sisters. Now, not that they intentionally diverged just because the Red Comet was falling, but that's what these, monumentous occasions represent. They separated on their paths, and then they ultimately come back together when the wall falls. When the comet fell, the kingdom was breaking apart. Everything was destroying itself how they knew it. The world as they knew it was no longer a thing, and they were, shoved into this new reality that is not the greatest thing for them. Their father being dead and their family being separated thousands of miles apart. You could argue that the Red Comet was a good thing for the Lannisters because a lot of people in the novels and in the TV show think that the redness of that comet represented the Lannister victory. You have House Lannister being at its strongest point when this comet is falling. And now that the wall is falling, you arguably have House Stark at their strongest point. So this could mean that the wall falling is going to be death to Cersei, but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Before we discuss what I think this comet falling means and what I think the wall falling means, let's just go through and look at how some of the characters in the novels saw what the Red Comet falling from the sky means. The comet's name in the Dothraki language is Shirak-Kia, which means bleeding star. They basically think that Daenerys, it's a herald of her coming, and it's a sign meant for them to follow her. And she eventually takes this as a sign that she has to go through the Red Waste. In one of her visions, within the House of the Undying of Qarth, the Undying Ones claim that they sent the comet, and it was to guide Daenerys. Obviously, we all know this is false. But in King's Landing, the small folk called the comet King Joffrey's comet, and a few of the servants around King's Landing refer to it as the Dragon's Tail. Sir Aerys Oakheart, who is a character strictly in the novels, think it honors the new king, Joffrey Baratheon, which is funny because it's like the color crimson of House Lannister, but Sansa actually thinks that if it were going to represent Joffrey, it should be golden because he's a Baratheon. Over in the Riverlands, Edmure thinks that it's a victory for House Tully, and Great John Umber thinks that it represents vengeance for Ned Stark. Brynden Tully and Catelyn are some of the smartest ones. Catelyn knows that it represents blood, and then you have Brynden Tully also insisting that it represents blood. Catelyn more so thinks that it's the Lannisters, but the ideal is still the same. They know that that comet is not a good sign, and there are great wars about to come. Then you have when Yoren's traveling with Arya, when Arya was supposed to be headed to the wall to go with Jon Snow. Arya thinks the comet is scary, but also splendid. And she's with Gendry in these moments, and Gendry actually thinks that it's a red sword, because it kind of looks like when you take a blade out of the forge and it's still red hot. That's why Gendry thinks that it represents that. Remember, Gendry is a blacksmith. Arya constantly goes back to thinking that, it's blood on her family's sacred sword Ice, because that's what was used to kill Eddard Stark. And remember, she saw this. So that comment is kind of a little bit traumatic for her. Then over in Winterfell, you have blind old Nan saying that she can smell it and she knows that this comet represents dragons. For a second, we gotta give a shout out to Old Nan, because she's one of the few characters in this novel who can guess everything correctly. Almost everything Old Nan has said has come to fruition, even more so recently with her ice dragon. If you guys want me to do another Old Nan theory prediction video, let me know down in the comments right now if you want me to cover that, and I will. Now, these next two, sort of like what the Red Comet represents, are kind of important. In A Feast for Crows, Maester Aemon tells Samwell Tarly that the comet that everyone watched above King's Landing and that everyone could see all over Westeros is very similar to a comet that fell when Prince Aegon was conceived many years ago. This is the key reason why Prince Rhaegar Targaryen was led to believe that Aegon was the prince that was promised. This could also be why he named Jon Snow Aegon. Aemon thinks that Daenerys is the promised hero, however, not Aegon. This is honestly before he knows, and I don't think he'll ever find out, well, because he's dead now. What I'm trying to say is I don't think that Maester Aemon realized that Jon Snow was actually the real Aegon Targaryen, because if he did, he might have had two choices for his prince that was promised. Then you have, in A Dance with Dragon rather, you have Salladhor Saan asking Davos if he's ever going to receive payment for those broken ships, and Salladhor Saan makes the joke of saying, hey, maybe I'll be paid for this when the Red Comet comes again. So from those words, we pretty much take that the Red Comet is no longer visible, since Salladhor Saan kind of says this. But also, this kind of relates to this theory that I did on Davos a few weeks ago, which you can click right up here, and that'll take you straight to that video, and you can watch it. But basically, in that video, I mentioned how Salladhor Saan was going to be recruited again by Sir Davos Seaworth in Game of Thrones Season 8. If this is the case, then maybe he will finally get paid once the wall falls, which is giant symbolism for a very similar set of events that are going to happen as when the Red Comet fell from the sky. Now let's go back to what Maester Aemon told Samwell Tarly, that the comet is very similar to the one that fell the night that Aegon was born. So if you can just take it down and break it down to its very simplistic level, that Red Comet was a sign that Daenerys Targaryen was born and came into who she is. Her dragons were brought back into the world. The Red Comet kind of represents the red fire involving with dragons, and also the red to the red and black of House Targaryen, fire and blood. This is literally a representation of that. You can kind of look at it on a deeper level and say that this also relates to Jon Snow coming into who he is. Jon Snow becoming the full embodiment of ice. He's officially going north of the wall at this time, and he's coming into his own as a member of the Night's Watch. Both of these characters start on their perilous journeys right in these moments as the Red Comet fails. Breaking it down even further, and I meant to say as the Red Comet falls, but if we break it down even further, Ned Stark died and dragons were born. So that meant that a member of House Stark died and members of House Targaryen were born. So this time with the wall falling, you have a member of House Targaryen, Viserion, falling, and you also have a member of House Stark rising. Now, I know I mostly focused mainly on the Red Comet in this video, but that's because we haven't really seen the repercussions of the wall falling. We saw the dead marching south, but what does this mean for the rest of the kingdom? I would love to see tremors going all throughout just scaring the crap out of the citizens of maybe King's Landing. Like, let's just say Cersei's just sitting there chilling, drinking her cup of wine, even though she knows she's pregnant, and then she just feels a giant tremor. And then from there on, we just kind of see, how it affects different characters. But what I meant by a Stark rising is Jon Snow. Jon Snow has consummated his relationship with Daenerys, therefore making the greatest alliance of all time, the alliance of ice and fire. And yes, you could argue that Cersei and the Night King's army is a little bit bigger, but one army united under 1/2 leaders with one goal in mind is way more dangerous than anything else. And relating more back to how the Stark was rising is Jon Snow, in these moments, it's discovered that for 100% the truth that Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Targaryen got married. So Jon Snow is not only not a bastard, but he's also the legitimate heir to the Iron Throne. So the symbolism between the Red Comet falling and the wall falling is great. You have all of these characters in war about to break out right as the Red Comet falls, and then you have everyone coming together, but also war about to break out throughout the entire kingdom. You also have it relating to the moment that Daenerys received her dragons, but also the Night King received his dragons. So these events are harmonious. You have the birth of fire and now the birth of ice. So let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think there's a possibility that the wall falling represents the birth of ice and that the red comet falling was the birth of fire? And now in Game of Thrones Season 8, we have the harmonious union between fire and ice, that being between Jon Snow and Daenerys. Do you think there's any significance to that in our story? And also, what do you think else will happen that I did not mention in this video with the wall falling besides the dead marching and then tremors felt all over the kingdom? I don't really think there's any kind of significance to it, and I don't like talking about theories of how Daenerys may die, but if you look at it even further, you could even say that the red comet falling was not only the birth of fire, but the death of ice because Ned Stark died. And then you have it in our story as, you know, the wall falling as ice is reborn, so that means fire has to die. Not just Viserion, but the embodiment of fire, for the living side at least, is Daenerys. So maybe that's symbolism for Daenerys dying and Jon Snow living, because he is literally the harmonious balance between ice and fire. This would be the balance that everyone is searching for in our story, and it also would be a nice conclusion. Well, in some people's minds anyway, not in Dany's fans. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could please slap a like on this video. The like goal will be 420. Also, if you want to be entered into my contest to win this $100 Amazon gift card and you have a little bit less than a week to do so, all you have to do is enter to win this contest is slap a like on this video, comment, make sure you're subscribed, turn notifications on, then check out the gleam.io link pinned to the top comment of this video to go and enter all the different bonus ways. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. Super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. If anyone interested in watching this video, if you want to show your support, all you have to do is check out the link right up here or the link down below in the description. That'll take you over to my Patreon page. Super special thank you again to every single member of that, especially to Terry. I want to thank you all again for the third time so much for watching. My name's Mike, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews. In the damn video before I piss myself.